Philip, what did you do?
Okay, the buzzing you feel in your bones, that means it worked. It worked. We're past, future, I think, something of the sort.
What did you send us to the past again?
I think it's way in the future this time. Like way, my watch isn't even working for that. Let me see if I can recalibrate. This is good though, this is fantastic. We can just...
Why would you, we were doing fine. Why would you do this?
There was a few things I wanted to edit in the videos, and since you can't really edit them once they're uploaded, I was like, time travel. We have a time machine, we could go back and we can fix every single thing that we did on the videos. Don't worry, it won't take long.
Hold on. Okay, so what we were doing was good. It was good, dude.
I mean, it was okay. Yeah,
no,
that's fine.
We can't. You can't just go and. So, not a scientist or anything, but usually glowing blue cubes of energy don't have a good track record of leading to good things.
I think it's friendly, honestly.
We're gonna have to get you assessed for evaluating.
That's fair.
Intention. Yeah.
Why do you desire to travel back?
We do a podcast called Shelter Sages. Just went back in time, or we're hoping to go back in time, to fix a couple of things. That's the reason why we're here now, by accident.
Podcast detected. Query. Why homeschooling?
Since we're both homeschoolers.
And we, older now, survived homeschooling.
No longer sheltered.
No, but sometimes not really wise, because time travel, future.
We really just want to let people know that it's okay to be homeschooled.
And that it's fun, and that, as long as you do it correctly.
Absolutely.
It's cool, and stuff.
Yeah, and then you can grow and become better.
And
learn.
Definitely not, there's awkward, but you embrace your awkwardness.
Yeah,
it's
kind
okay.
of
a weird
People
thing.
like awkward.
And then sometimes you get really smart and create time travel and
yes,
things.
That's a homeschool
Just
thing.
kidding, that's not normal.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Request accepted. Stipulation required. Final question. If you could reform your education,
What?
Things have moved around a little bit.
Where's the couch?
I don't know.
When did you get a table?
I no clue. Okay. So maybe we just
do we just?
I think just the episode. Let's do it. Everything's here for it.
They gave me tea. So
okay. Do we start the intro
now? Welcome back, everyone, to Sheltered Sages, the show where two formerly sheltered homeschoolers, now adults, take a look at the complexities of life one crazy story at a time. My name is Andrew.
And my name is Philip.
And we have a surprise third person.
Welcome.
Welcome. So this is our friend, Marimar. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll kind of talk about what crazy thing it is that we are doing today that we were super excited about, and we've been super excited about for a long time.
Awesome.
So.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me. So my name is Marimar, and I am a second-year graduate student in forensic sciences.
Awesome. That is kind of our, I want to say our motto, our motif for this next semester of the podcast is we are wanting to do a lot of kind of exploring. We've done a lot of where we've given our opinions of things, and we have given our hot takes and things of that nature, but we wanted to start branching out and starting to talk to new people, different people. So let's get the first one out of the way. You were not homeschooled, is that correct?
No, I was not homeschooled.
All right, so everyone in the comments, go ahead and get your complaints out now that we brought a non-homeschooler onto the podcast. podcast.
I think we just end the episode here.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
it.
So thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm so glad.
This was great. It was really great.
It was
Yeah,
fun time.
thank you so much.
We'll talk. Yeah. So we're going to branch out. I know it's crazy, a little bit outside of our things, but we're wanting to explore what, kind of those things of like people being homeschooled. We might not have ever thought about pursuing that as a career or things of that nature.
Forensic sciences,
the forensic sciences is really, really cool. And I was like, oh, we got to get her on. Because every time we talk about it, it's always been one of those things that I'm just like, oh, this is so interesting. And I'm like, I want to learn more about it. And what better way to learn more about it than like taking people along with us in the process?
It's also like when you're homeschooled, sometimes you have this very closed-in view of, these different jobs and stuff like that. And so when you're trying to find something new to do, you're like, oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to do something new. And it's like, what's forensic sciences? Can I do that? Can I actually go in and figure out what that is and like actually do it as a job? That would be really, really cool. So just like letting our audience know what that is and also just learning more about you because we're happy to have you on the show.
Happy to have you guys.
She's a really cool person. That was really one of the biggest reasons why you wanted her on the show.
These guys are also really cool people. You should watch the rest of their podcast if you haven't already.
You so much. Well, we paid her $200 to say it. No, we didn't.
Yeah.
She's like, wait, what? Where?
Where's the money?
The check is after.
It's all merit based. We have to see how she does, and it's one of those like those old people the way they do tipping where they'll like put the $3 on and every time they make a mistake they remove a dollar from the tip.
Do that?
There are some people who do that.
That's terrible.
It's gross. It's as someone who worked as a server, it's gross. Yes.
Wait, they actually... No, wait. I thought you meant they were doing that on shows. Like, they do that in restaurants?
In restaurants. Like, real people. I worked as a server, and there were people who would, like, put 10 singles out on the thing, and every time I made a mistake, they'd remove one of the singles from it.
That's gross.
It's wild. And the wildest part is their check would be, like, $100. So the 10 wouldn't even... That would be, like, 10% of a $100 tip.
Ew.
So it's like, they get down to the point of, like, they're looking for things to complain about so they can give me $2 at the end of the day. It was...
Okay.
Anyways, that's...
I don't like that.
Side tangent. So, getting back to what we're doing.
We already did the intro, so let's get to the first question.
Yeah. So, before we get started, I know you're going to talk about different things, and that's like, especially being a student, that kind of puts you in a weird realm of things. So, is there anything you want to share before we get started on all of that?
Yeah, of course. So, I do have this caveat that I am still a graduate student, and these are all my opinions and my experience, and it doesn't have anything to do with the institutions or the schools that I am connected to or will be connected to in the future. So just a little disclaimer.
That's very good. Yep, I respect that completely. So let's talk about how we know each other first, because I think that's a fun, like, how did two homeschoolers get to meet a forensic science graduate student? Like, that's cool. So we met. So I actually met Marimar. We knew each other through our church prior. Yes. But the big thing that drew us together, which is actually one of the things the three of us do together, is Taekwondo. Yep. So the cool thing, Miss Marimar is also one of the head instructors of the Taekwondo school that I get to teach, and where we get to torture him on a daily basis.
Yes, we do.
Yes. What was it that gives you the sweats every time Miss Marimar shows up? What was it?
Oh, it's cardio.
Oh yeah. I'm a little...
Do you want to talk about cardio a little bit?
Do I want to talk about cardio?
Yeah. Would you like to explain to our audience why I hate cardio whenever you're there?
And why I love being an instructor when cardio is called.
I don't know why. It's not that hard, right? I just give you like a couple of extra laps in the beginning, and then we kind of do like burpees and push-ups, and we do like rotation, so like everybody gets a try.
A couple shuttle runs.
Exactly, a couple shuttle runs. It's just it's very inclusive, and it's very like it's very invigorating. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's helpful sweats.
Sure. But it's usually whenever she's not there, it is a normal, everyday, I can go in, maybe sweat a little bit. Whenever Marimar shows up.
Did you sweat on Monday?
I got there a little bit later.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, so I skipped the first part, but we didn't actually have
no, but last Monday, I will say you weren't there, but we did it in your honor. There was cardio, post-Christmas cardio that we did. It was
it's almost like when I walk in, I see Marimar, I was like, no, I'm going to turn around.
But then I lock eyes with you, and I'm like, I've already clocked you here. Get back here.
It's wonderful.
gosh.
We're happy to have you there.
Yes.
Great instructor.
Yes, so much fun, and it's just a cool opportunity that we've gotten to know each other a lot, and just get to grow and things. Obviously, we played D&D together.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of like things that expand outside, and that's a cool thing. Homeschoolers, you get to make cool friends as an adult. So you know, just don't isolate yourself into your home all day. Get out there, go do things, go do your sports. You'll meet cool people.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's get started with the first official question I wanted to ask. When someone asks you what you study or do, how do you usually explain it to them?
Okay. So the literal definition of forensic sciences is science applied to the law. And getting into that a little bit, that just means like, any principles from biology or chemistry, we are just using those in any certain amount of ways to solve a crime.
Nice.
So yeah, very cool.
So does that what does that include? Like fingerprints and stuff like that?
Yeah, I would say that kind of goes into, I don't want to say a little bit of biology in terms, but a lot more like practical aspects, like that in the sense of like just taking prints, like putting tape on a fingerprint and like lifting it off. You can like kind of physically see that you have that residue left behind. So it's taking like some of the practical steps of like, this is how you can like get results after you make methods.
Very cool.
Very
cool.
So it's like the cool part of like the science between
Yes,
figuring out
yes.
how things are going.
Exactly.
And the detective walks in, it's like, oh no, something happened here, but I don't know what yet. Then you get to come in, it's like, yeah, here's exactly what
This
happened.
is exactly
Yeah,
what
there you
happened.
go.
It's super structured.
That's really cool.
Well, we'll get into more of like the TV side of forensic science later.
I have a lot of thoughts.
So I do have a second question for you.
Yes, you have a second question.
What's the biggest misconception you think people have when you are trying to explain the forensic sciences to them?
So the first thing that I usually get, like when I tell them, like, I'm into forensic science,
Yeah.
they're like, so you work with dead people? Just like, well,
I thought that. Yes.
like, yes and no.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different disciplines within forensic sciences, and there is one of them, which is like forensic pathology, where you do work with dead people.
Okay.
However, their forensic pathology and also just crime scene investigation, those are kind of the ones where you interact with decedents, but there are certainly a lot of other disciplines where you're pretty much in the lab all day, and you do not have to interact with any of that if you do not choose to.
And what you said a word for you interact with what?
Decedents.
Decedents.
Nice.
Yes.
Is that like the official word?
That's like one of the official terms, like deceased, decedents, like that's one of the...
That's a good way to get out of
learning
saying,
something.
to get out of getting flagged on YouTube. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah, for sure.
Okay. So there's a TV show.
Yes.
I'm just jumping past that.
it.
Yeah, no,
There's
for
a
sure,
TV
for sure.
show called iZombie, and one of
Yes.
the you've seen it?
I haven't seen it. I've heard of it.
Okay.
Though, I will say.
The main character, Liv, she's a zombie. Spoiler alert. It's getting
it's
an
in the
episode.
first episode, but all right.
But she works in a morgue,
Yes.
I think, as a forensic scientist in a way, but more with like the body. So whenever I
think
heard
she's a
forensic
coroner,
science,
yeah.
and I was like, oh, so that's what you're doing, but that's not specifically what you're looking to do.
No, not necessarily. And I will say, I do have a caveat that coroners are much different from medical examiners and forensic pathologists. So a
Okay.
coroner is usually somebody that comes in. Sometimes they don't have a lot of experience tied to them. They are not required to have any sort of like med school experience or anything like that. Most of the time they are often
Notice how
elected.
carefully she danced around.
Yeah, no, most of the time they do seem to be elected, so they're very different.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know where that. I just heard coroner, and I was like,
Coroner? Okay.
coroner. I have thoughts. Hold on.
I'm gonna throw those out
Carefully
there.
crafted thoughts.
Carefully crafted thoughts.
Okay. So you're not looking to be a coroner.
No, I'm not. I think I'm not looking to be.
Okay.
If there were anything that I would be able to do in terms of like being a coroner, I think I would be a little bit overqualified.
Okay.
I believe.
Impressive.
But in my realm of things, I could take things to be a medical examiner, or there are just regular forensic technicians that work at the morgue. So I would also be able to do that as well. And I
Interesting.
did do an internship there, so we'll probably get into it a little bit
That's
later.
probably where I think a lot of my brain goes to, like coroner, because I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
you talked about doing an internship at the morgue. We'll have to talk about that a little
We
bit.
will, definitely.
So follow-up question, and this is more just because this is a really unique field, and again, as homeschoolers, we didn't really get to. This isn't something we would ever think to explore. But like, did you always imagine yourself in this field, or is this one of those things that you kind of discovered as you went to college and kind of explored?
So the funny part is that I never actually planned to be a forensic scientist.
Okay.
I made it all the way through high school, and when I got to my senior year and we were like putting in our applications, it was kind of like, okay, well, like, what do I do now for
You
the
have to
rest of
pick
my
something.
life? Which is another soapbox of mine, where it's just like, you're 18 and now you're being told like, okay, like decide what you want to do for like a gajillion years.
Right.
Yes.
So yeah, there's that. But I kind of had a couple of different majors that I was thinking about. It's like criminal justice, vet school, like musician, just a bunch of different options.
they're all connected, right?
Yeah, for sure. They're all yeah,
I think they're all things Sherlock did.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. So like we're almost there. But when I was younger, when I lived in Puerto Rico, my grandfather would watch NCIS. And if you watch NCIS, there is a forensic scientist there. Her name is Abby. She does not follow any of the PPE rules, but she was super cool and goth, and I thought she was so much fun. And then I got to senior year, and I was just like, well, like, what do I want to do? And it's like, well, I like forensic science. Sounds kind of cool. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like I'm going to hate it. So like, let's give it a try. And then I went through it, started getting to my junior, senior year, and I found out that I really liked it.
Nice. Very
That is
cool.
so
Very
hilarious.
cool.
The fact you were like,
that.
she's cool.
She's cool.
I want to do that.
I wanted to. That's exactly how it worked.
That's so cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm sure it has influenced none of your like stylistic choices.
No,
None at all.
Nothing.
Not at all. Not whatsoever.
See, I would have expected it was like the opposite, where you're like, hey, I got into it and I realized there's cool people who are doing this, but you're like, nah, I already knew cool people were doing
I
this.
already knew cool people were doing this, so that's why I wanted to get involved.
Yeah.
If I go into forensics, I will be cool.
I will be cool.
That's
Good
awesome.
to know.
That's so cool. Though. I
Okay,
love that. I love
Andrew,
that.
if we want to be cool, we got to go in for
Forensic
some
science,
Into
yeah.
forensic science.
Yeah.
You will
Oh, darn.
also get the wardrobe with it.
Oh,
They give you
they give
along
you
They
with
give you
it.
the wardrobe.
Okay,
Oh.
that's cool.
This
That's cool.
is-
It's like
Gotta
the
get a coat.
books and then the
for sure.
papers and then
And the leather jackets.
Yeah.
For sure.
Instead of the white lab coat, you get a black leather jacket.
Oh, that's so cool.
I've always wanted a black lab coat.
That's
like,
so cool.
I have
That
the
would be
white one
so
that's so
cool.
standard, and I'm just like, but like a black.
But the stains, but like a black lab coat would have stains.
Exactly. That's why like Dexter wears dark clothing. Like that man is impeccably dressed.
That
You
is
cannot
true.
see the bloodstains.
That is true. But he's also really good at cleaning up. I'm sorry, we're going into Dexter right there. If you haven't seen Dexter.
We will probably go into Dexter
Oh, okay.
later. We'll
That's
bring it up.
I've
awesome.
seen almost
I'm
all
all
of
for
Dexter
it.
except for the last one and not the new seasons there.
Yeah,
If you're
no,
into that,
Any of
yeah.
this- yeah, no.
Okay.
Okay.
Next question.
Love that, yeah.
Do you want me to do the next question
Well,
for this?
I did actually
Go
have a
ahead,
follow-up
go ahead.
question.
Yeah.
So, sorry. Well, more of a comment actually,
Yeah.
because I love what you said about like you didn't know until high school, and I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions that like homeschoolers have. Is it's like, oh, here are all of these like high schoolers and middle schoolers who like get to explore the world and obviously get to know what they want to do, and then they get into college, and then we're homeschooled and we don't know what we want to do, and then we have to figure out like no, but it's a similar
Yeah.
experience that you had
Yes.
in the public school system of
sure.
like you don't know, and then you're like and figure it out.
And it figured out.
Yes. They
So-
kind of shove you into it in that same
for
way.
sure.
But it's like also when you have the time and space to really think through what you really want to do, you can find really cool things to just put your passion into. And so I think it's important to slow down. Like I know a lot of people are like, okay, you're out of high school, you got to do something now. Go
Yeah.
over, and it's like, okay, just it's okay to breathe. It's
Yeah.
okay to think through it. It's okay to explore new things.
Sorry, I could get on a soapbox about the gap year. I was
say-
not allowed to get a gap year.
Oh no, I would say though that the first 2 years kind of like I don't want to say serve as a gap year because you're still studying.
That's so
but like
true,
those first
though.
2 years are just like all like general requirements. So even if you do get into college, you like might have a little bit of time before you get too far into it. And it's just like, well, I've spent like $20,000 and like I can't. I'm cooked. Like I don't know. Like I'm done.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah. Well, no, I think I think that's also our part. It's like both of us, like we went the dual enrollment route. So like we
Oh, I
graduated high school with the AA, and so it's like now we have to figure.
I see.
So. whew.
We were already starting it out when we were in high school to go into the new thing. But speaking of education,
Yes.
Ooh, yes.
what led you to pursue a master's in forensic sciences?
Yeah, why didn't you just stop at the bachelor's?
Yeah,
Sorry,
you're
I
just
cut
like,
you
I
off.
got it.
Yeah. It was going to be my follow-up question, like why,
Yeah.
like specifically like bachelor's, like. Anyway, tangent. But I chose the master's because once I finished my bachelor's, I could have gone into an entry-level job. However, a lot of entry-level jobs require a lot of experience. And I wasn't really like certain if I wanted to go in, not necessarily into forensic sciences, but I didn't know what I was going to do, what kind of lab I wanted to work at. So I took a gap year.
Take a gap year. Took a gap year. Proponent for the gap year.
Take a gap year. And then I went into my master's. And when you're in your master's, you don't really, I want to say, like, learn anything new. You expand upon what you already know, unless you take a bachelor's that's very different from your master's.
Okay.
So my bachelor's and my master's were the same. So they're both in forensic sciences. And there's a whole other discussion about, like, should you master in the same thing as you did your bachelor's in, and blah, 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 blah. But in this case, I did it so that I could expand upon and practically apply what I learned.
Okay.
So for your master's, you often have to do either like a thesis or some sort of internship. In my case, I'm doing a thesis, which means that I'm doing research while I'm going throughout these 2 years, which gives me experience, and that counts for further job development. So once I graduate, I can say, I have X amount of experience because of the internships that I did, but I also have about 1 to 2 years of experience because of my master's.
Nice.
And that just opens up a lot of new avenues as opposed to just staying with the bachelor's.
That's awesome. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I know a lot of places are like, experience is huge, but then if you're going to school, it makes it complicated because you don't get that experience. But it seems like you have like the best of both worlds where you do get that education along with the experience. So once you're ready to go into the actual like work of your job, you have all of them.
For sure.
Yeah, and that's like the interesting part of yours, because like with your bachelor's, when you went and got your forensic, did you have to internship? I can speak English. Did you have to internship for the last like couple like months of it, or was that on top of getting your degree? Like was the internship optional?
Gotcha. So I don't know how it is for other schools, but the university that I did my bachelor's at, it was required to have an internship for you to graduate.
Interesting. Okay.
I did a little bit more. I did 2 internships because technically my first internship wasn't long enough. So I did a second one, which ended up really helping. But it is more than likely that it is required to have an internship to graduate, which will give you a little bit more experience. But comparing to like maybe that like 1 semester of internship versus like going into your master's and doing like 2 years of research, then that's kind of where the ballpark is.
Interesting. Yeah, because that was like my big thing is like, obviously we've talked about going and I'm getting my degree in education, and like part of the end of that is student teaching, where I am technically still going to college, but I'm doing student teaching for those 2 months, and it seems very much like an internship in that requirement. Did you, when you were in your internship, did you have to like still talk to professors and things like that, or was it just working at the school itself, or at wherever you were interning itself?
So for my internships, I did 2 different internships. So I did one at a morgue and I did one at a research lab. And for both of them, we kind of had a little like journal. So we would write about what we did that day. We would log our hours and we would report them to the professor in charge of that class, which is my advisor. So that's what we would do.
Okay, so it sounds very similar almost to like student teaching in a similar aspect. Very interesting. Very cool.
Okay, you brought it up again because I have to ask the question. You intern at a morgue.
I did intern at a morgue for a full semester. I did.
I guess that's my first question. How was that?
It was really great, actually. There were a lot of things that I learned, such as I don't want to work at a morgue for the rest of my life. That was one of the things that I learned.
That's a great way to learn that, though.
Exactly. And I also kind of learned the emotional capabilities and aspects of all of it, because until you're face to face with a deceased person, you don't know how you're going to react. So I was able to kind of have that in a very controlled environment, which was very helpful, especially if you're wanting to continue in this field. But it was lovely. I thought it was lovely.
Okay. What was like the day like, I guess, when you were there? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. So on my end, it varied in terms of you basically got what you put in. So I was very hands-on with everything. I helped people perform autopsies. I would put away samples. I would help with the database for case history and such. So it was basically while like I was actually working there, but not paid.
the
really
preferred
cool.
intern.
The preferred intern. I didn't bring coffee though.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you.
for
Setting
sure.
standards.
Yeah.
Setting
Not doing that.
standards.
All of the other work.
I will not.
I
I will
not bring
move
you
the
coffee.
organs from one place to another, but I will not.
bring coffee. I will not bring coffee.
That's where I draw the line.
That's amazing.
No, for sure. but
That's
it was
fantastic.
So
cool.
Yeah.
I just think too, like people don't think about that as an actual job. I know there's a lot of like people who work in morgues, but like you don't really go, okay, well, how's their life? What are they
Yeah.
doing with it?
Or you think about like the stereotypical TV where it's like there's one person in the morgue.
One. Yeah.
No.
Just one.
Constantly. They're the only one who can do it.
No. That would take. I think there were at least like maybe like 4 to 6 people like at a time, like techs, and that's not even counting doctors. Like
wow.
it was a full room like
Oh,
every
wow.
single day.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay.
It was a physical job.
Smooth and grooving and doing
I
stuff.
love it.
Yeah.
So one of the other questions. So
Yeah.
like talking about this and like finding forensic sciences and all that other kind of things. Did any like skills or classes that you had taken were like not like prior to you starting? Did any of those skills surprisingly translate well into like the forensic sciences? Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean that's one of the pretty like standard things. Like I for sure knew like, oh, chemistry and biology are gonna be a thing. Like once I started getting into my actual forensic classes, I was just like, oh, this is just another lab, but you're just applying the science differently. If there was one that I was surprised about, it was biochem. And that's because specifically I want to go into toxicology, which is how drugs interact with the body.
Okay.
And all
so
of that
cool.
sort. And yeah, I think it's really awesome. And when I got into graduate school and I started taking toxicology classes, they put a lot of emphasis into at least having some knowledge about biochem. And while I don't say I remember everything from biochem, I thought it was very helpful to at least have that initial knowledge and be like, oh, this is how all of the dots connect. And it makes sense.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So you was one of those moments like, well, this wasn't a worthless class that I
This
had to take.
wasn't a worthless class that I had to take. It actually made sense because it was an elective, and I was just like, why would this be elective? It's so difficult. I took it anyway because the alternate was microbiology.
Ooh, I've heard horror
I've heard a lot of
stories.
things, and yeah, no, it was really helpful to do biochem.
Very cool.
I mean, I understand that because I took chemistry and I loved chemistry. I thought it was wonderful. It made sense. I was like, oh, you can make these different things and this makes salt and this is sugar and you can put it all together. And then biochem came.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, the chemical name for, normal chemistry is like this long. Chemical name for biochem.
And then you get into amino acids.
oh gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Remembering all 17.
Y'all went that route. I went computers. So y'all
Okay.
have fun with your chemical compounds. I'll write computer code.
No,
And then I realized I don't like computer code. So now I teach children on a daily basis.
let me get my face off of the screen.
Let's not do that.
Oh gosh.
Cool. It's good to know.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
All right, I have another question, I guess, towards the end of it.
Yes.
So, did your path in school follow like a very direct thing? Or was it more like, a little bit keep doing this and you decide to do something else? Like, how did that path go?
I think I was very lucky in the sense that I chose forensic sciences basically being like, okay, I don't know how this is going to go, but I guess I'll try. And it went very well. I will say the only thing that kind of, I don't want to say set me back a little bit, is of course COVID. I feel like that was very impactful in terms of things that I remember, things that I have learned. So I feel like I have to go back and like read through chapters or relearn a couple things just because that time felt so nebulous.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But other than that, I graduated like a little bit later than I expected just because of like COVID and classes. And other than that, just going straight into grad school after a gap year. So I wouldn't say it was like super straightforward, but at the same time, it's just like, well, I went from point A, A.1, and then we went to point B.
That's fair. That's fair. So do you think like that's something that like someone who has a non-traditional schooling, like they could get into like the forensic sciences or other things like that?
Yeah, I mean, it would mainly depend on, do you have the core classes of like certain types of chemistry, certain types of biology, maybe a couple of like specialized advanced classes. If you have those in your curriculum, I feel like, yeah, go ahead. Okay. Even people that are not a forensic science major per se can go into forensic science. Like, of course, there's cybersecurity now and like forensic nursing. So even if you don't start off being like, I want to do my major in forensic sciences, there is a place for you. We need people.
We need more.
This is the pitch.
This is the pitch.
Surprise! It's
Is
a sales.
cybersecurity in forensic sciences?
Yes.
What?
It's considered an aspect of forensic sciences in the realm that it is still involved with crimes, and this is applying computer science to the law. So it is technically under forensic sciences.
So
I
you're
would
saying
say.
you're going to school to learn how to figure out any crime for basically every single. I mean, I know you're focused more on, you said toxicology.
Yes.
Okay. So poison.
Could be, yes, because poisons, like if you take a poison, like
Yes.
let's say like I drink arsenic. And
Please don't.
Please
I'm not
don't,
going to. I drink arsenic.
Yeah.
And if they take samples from my body, those are toxicology samples. But if you just have arsenic, then that's considered forensic drug chemistry or just forensic chemistry, because you're just looking at the pure drug and not any of
How
it
it
mixed in.
interacted with the
Yes,
body.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay.
Exactly.
Very good.
So I guess I have a follow-up there. Is it? Are you learning more than just like the biological forensics type things? Are you learning like the rest of it, or is it more focused on just that?
So the programs that I have is a more general program. So I am learning a little bit of everything. So there's forensic chemistry, forensic biology, there's trace evidence, which is things such as hair, paint, soil, glass, small things.
Those little like
that.
things that they say in a case that was like, oh, they found this one sample of a
Yes,
thing, and
things like that.
That's
But
interesting.
also, the trace evidence it goes into so many other different things where it's just like it's something that somebody left behind. It doesn't necessarily have to be small, but that's another caveat for another day. But in the realm that at least the program that I'm in, we go over a lot of like general views, which is very helpful. And there are other programs that are more specialized views that are specifically forensic biology or forensic toxicology. So you can go into either of those.
Cool.
I didn't know what I wanted to do when I graduated, so I went a more general route, which I appreciate a lot.
Yeah, that's very fair.
So you're like training to become Sherlock, basically.
I sort of.
So cool. I was thinking it's like so narrow, and then you're like, no, it's this, and
Yes.
as you keep talking, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's everything.
Yeah. For example, like forensic accounting. Like if you go to school for accounting and you're an accountant, you could be considered an expert witness in accounting if you have the requisite amount of experience, of course. And if, like, let's say, like, police agency contacts you and it's just like, hey, can you look at these records to see, like, if everything is in place? You are doing forensic science. You're just applying your accounting experience to the law.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hey, Andrew.
Yeah.
I think I found what I want to be when I grow up.
That pitch worked!
It works,
I'm gonna be a
everyone.
forensic scientist. This is so cool.
That's awesome. That's cool. That's really cool. I love that. Well, this is why I wanted to do this, because it's like, let's learn more. Because, like, again, you think forensic science, and you're like, I think of someone sitting in front of a microscope all day. I'm like, no. Like, we've talked about it a little bit. We've danced around a bit. But let's talk about, like, pop culture versus reality, because that's just where everyone, that's
Yes.
obviously our experience comes from.
Exactly what my experience was. I have so many questions.
Okay, so
I got you.
so this is going to be an antithesis, because you
Okay.
talked about like where your inspiration came from. But now that you have studied the forensic science, how has that changed the way that you view crime shows?
So I don't. I don't watch crime shows anymore. I do not like true crime.
Really?
I listened to it a little bit before I started my forensic sciences journey, like basically just forensic files, maybe a couple of shows. But as I started learning more about forensics and also the humanitarian aspect of it, I just stopped watching true crime. The exceptions being like fictional crime shows like Hannibal or Dexter. Exception maybe like Criminal Minds, but that's more like behavioral psychology aspect of things. But I stopped watching true crime because, first off, as forensic scientists, we are called to have a very objective view of the evidence. And true crime, even as though they try to portray it as objectively as possible, it is still glamorized and commercialized and publicized. And the other aspect of that is also are these victims being compensated? They are basically watching all of their trauma play out over and over,
So right,
being
yeah.
advertised. Stories might be changed, and that doesn't really sit well with me to consume that kind of media.
Yeah.
And I will say, additionally, there are a lot of people that are very into true crime, which I don't condemn in any sort of way.
Of course.
But a lot of times they also put out opinions or kind of perspectives that are not backed up with any kind of research or evidence. It is basically a very emotional response, which is natural because it is very distressing situation. So it's natural to have an emotional response. But in terms of being a forensic scientist, I stopped engaging with that media because I felt like it wasn't very ethical of me to do so.
It's almost like a relationship, like a therapist not watching reality TV
Yes.
because it's all about the sensational.
Yes.
Okay, very good. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm glad we didn't go the route of reading true crime stories.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it initially, like we should read a true crime story on the episode.
Yes.
If we read a true crime story, I might pick it apart.
That's fair. But one of the big reasons I also don't like true crime stuff, but one of the big, I guess I won't say I'm a softie, but I am very sensitive to the idea of someone being hurt, I guess, in that way.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, with like the sensationalism of it, I don't really like hearing about those things if it's a TV show where it's all fake, right?
Yeah.
Like we're talking about Dexter. It's much easier to handle because they
Yes.
know none of these people actually got hurt.
Yeah.
Nothing is really bad happening out there. It's all a fictional thing. But when you're hearing about these stories, knowing that, okay, a crime happened. Someone who was real, who lived a life, who was doing something, had something happen that was terrible to them, unforgivable. And so now we're taking this story and we're listening to it and we're learning more about it. It's even worse to me when you hear those stories about stuff that hasn't been solved. It's like, okay, even if it does get solved, right? It doesn't fix what went wrong, what
Exactly.
happened there. And it just makes even my wife constantly, she's like, she knows whenever she's listening to like a true crime thing, she turns it off when I enter the room because I always get like really kind of sad when those things happen, because usually it's someone, almost always it's someone who could not fight for themselves that had that happen to them. So like I completely agree. It's just really sad.
Yeah. I used to listen to it, and then I started working for law enforcement, and then it just made it really, really hard to listen to it.
Yes.
And so kind of in the same, even though like my passion, I was obsessed with Crime Junkies. That was like my go-to show. And like I still have it as my phone buzzer because I just love the jingle, the do. I don't want to get copyright striked. But you know, I like what you said, because I think that's really true. And I think that's true in terms of like all forms of that, like sensationalist TV, like true crime, reality TV, things like that. It's all about the reaction from the audience and less about the people. Even like the documentary series and stuff like that are out there. It's like,
So many now.
there's so many now, but it's like it's all about the, you know, sensational, like trying to make the audience react versus the actual evidence and the actual like what happened and recognizing the victims too. I think that's like, it's like I refuse to watch the like the serial I don't know how to say this YouTube safe.
Yeah. Serial people who are going out and doing serial things.
The serial things,
Yes,
the serials.
things.
Yeah.
Like I don't watch those because it's all about glorifying the
Yes.
person, and it's like we're ignoring the victims and ignoring all of the terrible things that happen.
It
So
feels very disappointing in that realm, because I think I was reading something up on it where she's like, oh, I want to make a full like series about all these different people, and I'm just like, no, I think the only movie that I've seen that was, or not okay, but at least like I felt a little bit more at peace about, it was this movie with Anna Kendrick called Woman of the Hour, and they removed so much of the focus from the individual that was perpetuating those crimes and focusing a lot more on the experience from the victims.
That's fair.
That I was just like, well, this is so much better than focusing on the individual who was responsible for this and basically glamorizing them, or in a certain show saying that they solved a crime
Yep.
in a certain show that I also heard about. So yeah.
I started watching that. It was also something where I was like, ooh, I don't feel it's so sad. It's so sad. No.
Yes.
Okay, speaking about TV shows and things like that, you've watched crime TV shows before.
Yes,
and
I
listened
have.
to crime podcast. What's one of the biggest things, in your opinion, they
my
get
opinion.
wrong?
Oh, there's so many. I can only list one.
Okay, you can list, let's say 5.
I was gonna say top three.
5. Oh, top 3. Ooh, let me think. So there's a lot of issues with personal protective equipment or PPE.
Okay.
So there are certain things that we are required to wear in the lab and in the crime scene. So when people walk on the scene, it's just like no gloves, nothing covering your shoes, no lab coats, no goggles, no hairnets. Red flag immediately.
So I can't just walk in and pick up the pen and go,
No.
this
Or like if you use your
take a pen
and
to
just-
this-
I've seen that before.
Just like, I see things like that and I'm just like, oh,
I just think about like how many times have you stuck the tip of that pin in your mouth? Like,
exactly.
and now
And
you've
then-
just contaminated with your DNA.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'd say that's one of the big ones. I would say forensic scientists don't have guns. Like never. We don't carry those. We're not law
But
enforcement.
I'm joking. So that's just you.
That's just me. That's just me. That's just me.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry to disappoint. One other thing that they get wrong.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I know Hannibal. There were a lot of things where they don't have hairnets and just that's one of the big contenders. I would say.
Okay.
Oh, something else. Crimes aren't solved in days. It takes a
goodness.
very long. I don't want to
Yes.
say a very long time, but it
Okay.
takes an extended amount of time. Like for example, when I'm doing research on my instruments, depending on how long it takes to look at each sample, it could be a full day. It could be an hour or two. It
Okay.
could be an overnight situation. Like you really can't pare this down to like 40 minutes of like screen time. It takes so much longer than that, and there are so many people involved that paring that down kind of creates a sense of urgency that people expect in media when that's not what's in real
Like
life.
solve it right now.
Exactly.
Okay. That's fair.
Interesting. So, in regards to that, and the same thing, is there anything they actually get right?
That's a great question. I haven't found anything that does get everything 100% right.
Okay, that's fair.
I haven't seen a lot of true crime recently, so if there is a show that it's just like, okay, well they did a pretty decent job, I would have no idea.
That's fair.
So I have no idea.
So if you were to label, like, let's do CSI.
Oh.
If you were on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not accurate at all, and 10 being spot on, where would you label it on that scale?
I feel like I wouldn't label any show above a 5.
Okay.
Like, to be honest, from what I have watched and remembered from a very long time ago, I don't think I would label anything above a 5.
Okay.
I would like to be able to label things above a 5 and make things more realistic. However, that doesn't seem to be the case or the trend.
Well, so then on the opposite side of it, do you think that like what you do in the lab, do you think it would be entertaining in some capacity? Like I know that's a lot of why things happen. It's like, oh, we find this one thing and that's like the entertainment factor. It's like, are there days like that where your job is entertaining, or is it only entertaining because you are in the field and you understand it?
I think it can be entertaining to like do like for my day-to-day. There are some days where I don't want to say it's a little bit of a slog, but things take time.
Every job has those days, I think it's fair to say.
But there are some times in the day where it's just like one of my assignments before I left school, we had a case where we had to look at gunshot residue on basically a tape stub.
Yeah.
And we would look at that under a pretty big microscope that used x-rays, and looking at that on the screen was just so super cool because you were seeing something that was like so incredibly small, and it is now blown up in your face. And it is, if you find certain things in these pictures or a certain quantity of certain elements, it means that this person was near or was around where a gun was shot. And I think that was just so fun and interesting. So I think there are really interesting things about forensic sciences that we don't really need to glamorize. But because everybody wants the urgency and, hey, we need to keep this episode less than an hour, a lot of that gets paired out.
How much of your work do you think is training like hands-on science compared to more like the documentation, the procedure, the nitty-gritty, not fun stuff to watch on
Boring
TV?
stuff.
So I would say that for you to have the forensic science experience, forensic science education that will really be helpful to you in the future, you have to have, and I have had, a lot of labs that actually incorporate that kind of forensic science aspect to it. So for example, I was able to do this because of my crime scene investigation, but we had a class that was crime scene. So a lot of it was learning how to look at a scene, learning how to sketch one out for documentation, essentially setting up our own scene and basically looking at how important it is to take pictures of everything, how to correctly take pictures of things, because there is a certain way that you must take them. And in addition to kind of that crime scene aspect, I would say that in already doing some of the general science labs, that you are already getting that training for forensic sciences, because in your labs, you're learning how to interact with equipment, how to interact with chemicals, what kind of different techniques you can use and different methods you can use. And the only difference with forensic sciences is that you're just going to change your standard operating procedures or how you do things.
Interesting. Very cool. Very cool.
That's really neat. All right, are we ready to pivot to the other side?
So we're going to pivot
Yeah.
to the hard part, because you talked about it a little bit when you
Yes.
did the internship at the morgue. And so one of the hard parts that comes with, I think, anything where you're dealing with crime in general is like the mental side of it and the strain and things of that nature. So as a student, how are you being prepared for the emotional realities of working in the field? We know you're not going to necessarily be working with dead bodies all the time, but just in general, that kind of working with crime all the time.
Yep.
So in terms of actual what we get in school, we get a lot of bias training, and we will continue to get that as soon as we graduate with wherever we work. But in terms of bias training, that essentially means like looking at the evidence you have and knowing that you just have to pay attention to the evidence and what it says. Essentially trying to insulate yourself from as much as extraneous information as you can. And if you receive any extraneous information, such as victim information, what happened in terms of the actual crime, how are you going to be able to handle that for you to be able to do your job correctly despite that? In terms of the actual like heaviness of things, in terms of mental illness, I would say that that is a lot of a personal endeavor, because you don't really get sat down in class and just like, hey, you're going to see this distressing situation. Here are some self-care tips. Like we don't get any classes like
That's
that.
fair.
So it's a lot of learning how to cope in your own way.
Okay, it's very interesting. Yeah, it's something we talked about. I don't know if we talked about it a lot on the show about like my history with dispatch.
Only a little bit with the anger that came along with it as well.
Yeah, you're right.
We talked about that in a previous episode.
Yeah, so you and me have obviously talked to IRL, but that reality of like working in law enforcement for 5 years, and it's like that builds upon you and the PTSD and stuff like that. It is very true of like you were given some like, well, you need to make sure you have some way to cope.
Yes.
But you weren't given a lot of tools to cope. Like the law enforcement agency I worked for had a chaplain, which was great. They would come up on the floor after really crazy stuff and like, hey, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk and we're going to make sure that like you're able to continue functioning your job. But they didn't have any like direct resources to be like, hey, these are all the strategies for managing your stress or things like that. I had to go see a specialist that they recommended to help me with my PTSD. So like, I think it's from what you're saying, it sounds like the general importance of mental health is one of those things that you still have to endeavor on your own to
in that
grow.
same way. Yeah, of course. Like there will be private labs probably that have some sort of health insurance, maybe even some availability of like telehealth. But in that way of like at least sitting down with a chaplain or any of that sort of stuff, that's a lot just very personal in terms of like you need to seek that out and you need to figure out how to manage it.
That's fair. And on a more personal note, like we talked about before with the sensationalism that comes with a lot of like crime type situations, and you even talked about how you somewhat don't like it because of that side of it. How have you personally kind of tried to, I guess I don't say distance yourself from it, but prepare yourself for some situations that might not be the best, where you have to try to figure out what happened?
Yeah. So in terms of figuring out what happened, I'll put a little caveat on that, is that our job is not to figure out what happened. Our job is to look at the evidence that we received and basically say, look at this criteria list that we have and say, does this meet that criteria, or does it have certain elements that could mean this? It's essentially interpreting what we received. We don't get to say like, oh, it could be that this person was involved in this incident because they did this violent action.
You're not drawing conclusions from it. You're just expressing the evidence.
We're expressing the evidence, and maybe if they ask us on the stand, we could give our interpretation or our expert opinion.
Yeah.
But at some points, you really can't say what happened because you were not there.
That's fair.
And that is not objective or essentially part of the evidence. You're just looking at what you received and reporting out those results, nothing more, nothing less.
Okay. And so that's how you kind of separate it out in that
Yes.
way? Okay. And even thinking like, as a writer for films and things like that, one of the most interesting pieces that I felt was along with it is that discovery of an event, right? That kind of coming to understanding of what is going on and how that kind of connects there. And what you're kind of saying, what I'm hearing is more having it separate, where you're trying just to figure out how this information can give us more information about what is going on here, and then let other people kind of go and piece it together. But even beyond that, still, let's say you some information that you found using all of the science that you're doing, you're like, oh, something really bad happened. How would you deal with that?
I honestly, like, in terms of like a really distressing situation,
Yeah.
you mean? I think in that sense, when I come into work, I think this is an example that I use, at least from the morgue when I have my first internship. It was something that was really impactful. On my first day, when I walked in, I don't know how other morgues do their procedures, but when you walk in, before you even get to your desk, you already see all of the decedents that you're going to be working with on the floor.
Oh, wow.
And that was my first time seeing any kind of like individual that
Cadaver.
was exactly ever. So at that moment, I was just like, okay, like I need to package this right now. I'm not saying that I am going to bottle it up, but I need to package these feelings, understand that I am going to be dealing with them at a later point in time. But right now I am on my way to work and this is what I am here to do. So I cannot let my emotions interfere with any aspect of that.
That's fair. And I respect that so much as well for both of you on that same way, because it is a job. Someone has to do that. And like, it's not for me. I'm going to say that for sure.
Thank you
But
for
it's
your
like, when you're having to listen to a serious situation happening over the phone and someone's telling you, hey, I need your help. I need you to logically work through this situation to help. And they're giving a ton of emotion towards it and having to go, okay, this is what I need you to do to help calm them down, but also, you know, potentially save their lives. And the other side, it's like, there's nothing you can really do for the person that you're looking at if you're in the morgue, or beyond that, if there is a crime that already happened. It's like that emotional toll towards it. But I completely respect the idea of like, by you doing this job, you are helping. By you separating that out and saying, I need to be objective, I need to be very focused on the specifics that I need to do here. Afterwards, yes, therapy, all the things that you need to do for that. But it's like, I'm doing this so I can help someone get, I guess, justice for what happened, or I can help save someone else's life in that way. I really respect it.
No,
That's
I
a
think
lot.
it's one of those things. I like how you talked about. So I was always taught in therapy, that's like the box of like, it's like a lot of people think there are two, and what I did when I first started was the bad, which is like bottle it down, just push it down, where you bottle it and you just push everything in and you never address it until it explodes. And that's when I was like banging my head on desks and like, you know, like exploding at work because I wasn't dealing with it. But now I've learned in that method that you talked about, which is like, no, take all those emotions, acknowledge that they're there, put them in a box. We'll deal with that later. And like not in a like, and you have to then deal with that later.
Yes.
Like that's the hardest part of the box is like you do have to
You
take
need to
the box
open it.
off the shelf and open it and look at the contents of it and deal with it, because it is gonna weigh on you if you keep putting more and more and more in that box. So I think that's just any job that's incredibly challenging, specifically anything working with crime and even in the lab. I think it's one of those things that can take the toll. So I'm glad that you have a system that kind of helps you deal with it, and definitely encourage anyone working in that field to pursue something. And if you don't have tools, get tools, because tools are so
Absolutely.
important. And that's really all that therapy is like giving yourself tools to be able to use in those situations.
Yeah.
So in Yeah, so I want to kind of shift a little bit away from all the really heavy stuff and more of when you've had a particularly hard day or just like a long week in general, what do you do to unwind? This is more of a fun, what are your hobby? What do you do to like relieve tension and have some fun?
Yes, absolutely. So as we discussed a little bit in the beginning, we're all martial artists.
Yes.
I love doing martial arts, and I think especially in grad school, I've found that going to the gym and working out is just so helpful on so many levels, not in just having a bad day, but just in like your physical health. So I found it really helpful to just go work out whatever I'm dealing with and then come back and just feel this kind of like weight come all the way off. In addition to that, I of course also play RPGs, of course, with some of the people on this table. Having so much fun with those. And let me see what else. I do like to watch a lot of media, not anything specifically related to true crime, but I do watch a lot of like fictionalized shows like Dexter, Hannibal, White Collar, like all of those have so much fun, especially because I work from home so that I'm able to kind of like watch them at the same time. And it's so much fun. That's cool. But I think there's a couple of things that I like.
Very nice. Very nice. Love it. We're huge nerds here, and that is it's a good through line, honestly.
Yes.
Being able to, I think it's escapism. Being able to like just be like, you know what, I'm gonna be a fictional hero that destroys things and beats the bad guys instead of having to take an objective stance where I don't, do anything.
Or I'm gonna be an archer that really doesn't understand much about life. And
Or just a cat. Just a cat.
Or just a cat.
Just a cat.
I'm a cat. That's it.
That's awesome.
All right, so I have a question kind of pivoting as well.
Nice.
All right, is there a study, a case, something that really just like you thought was really interesting and you want to tell us about?
I'm trying to think, because when you get to the realm of toxicology, unfortunately, the people that you are dealing with are most often not alive. So,
That's what I was thinking too.
It's like with other realms, you can kind of be like with like drug chemistry and things like that. You can hear about all of these different kinds of stories about all the illicit substances and where they were found.
If you're working with them, it's probably not.
Too late already.
Yeah, you're.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
So essentially, when it comes to like toxicologists, it's like finding a funny story is hard because
That's fair.
none
But
of them
I
are
can't.
funny. I guess I will say, I don't want to say funny, but I guess I'll say like kind of a success story, I suppose.
Yeah.
But in the most recent case in Iowa with all the college murders.
Okay.
I forgot the individual that was involved. But there is a new discipline on the rise, which is called Forensic Investigative Genetic Genealogy, FIG for short. So essentially, it is using the DNA of family members to create this sort of like family tree and see if there are any links between the evidence that you have and the family that is connected to it. And in the Iowa case, the individual involved did not want to volunteer any of their DNA. Surprise. So while I do not fully agree with the methods employed to get the family member's DNA, which involved rooting through a trash can to get some of their DNA, or actually, I'll pile it back. This was for the Golden State Killer case. That's what they were.
Oh, I've heard about the Golden State Killer case. Yeah.
And of course, this individual had not been caught for a really long time. Either like degraded cases or just never volunteered DNA. They rooted through his trash can, and that's how they were able to get evidence in order to convict him. However, that brings up the big ethical question of FIG, which is these people did not necessarily volunteer their DNA, which is great in terms of crime solving, not so great in terms of
the legal aspect
of consent.
Because you can kind of figure out what their DNA is based off of their
samples that they're
parents.
pulling from, isn't it from like the Ancestry DNA, like those websites and stuff like that, where it's like the databases?
There are certain restrictions in terms of there are some databases that will not give their information to the government, and there are some that state that do. So there's a little bit of like a barrier in that sense, but it's also like nebulous.
I feel like it's in that same state that like AI is in right now, where it's like you have to be so careful about like the legal ramifications of it, and like all these other kind of things, like deep fakes and all this other kind of stuff that's like crazy out there right now. Like the law has to catch up to technology, and it's wild to hear those stories where it's like this happened to catch someone, but at what cost?
Yes.
And the scary thing is too, is it's like, obviously we're getting into more of the legal side of things, but like, can that case now be overturned because it was obtained in illicit meaning, even though it was now proven that this person was, but because the information was gained it's interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah. I will
I'm
say
sure that
that,
gets more into conjecture, of course.
Like that aspect of it, they ruled in the original case that I was talking about, the College State case in Iowa. They ruled, I believe, that because it was like in a trash can, that is technically not your property because you are giving it away. Okay. So essentially,
it wasn't like a trash bin in their container. It was like an
the
outdoor
garbage, like outdoor, like getting ready to be taken out. So that's what they ruled in, since like you were giving this up freely, so this is not considered yours anymore.
I respect that. Yeah, I respect that. Interesting.
I like that.
Yeah, good success story. I agree. It's hard in your field to get like a fun.
Yes.
I didn't really think about that, but I was like,
it's hard to get a fun one. Like there's a lot of like dark humor involved, and that's kind of that's a way how you survive.
Yeah, that's a law enforcement way too. You kind of have to.
So like it is really unfortunate that there aren't a lot of like fun stories, but when you do get the occasional like, oh, this worked out, like it's a great day for everybody.
I love a good success story. Yeah. That's awesome.
I have another question for you.
Oh my gosh, fire.
More interesting. Yes. What's one forensic science fact you wish everyone knew?
Oh my goodness.
Or is this secret that you don't want to tell anyone so that they don't change it?
Oh.
Or maybe like if it's like, hey, this will help me solve things later on. Like if everyone just like, I heard before with police officers, they go over and they touch the back of a car whenever they're doing stops. It's like to leave like fingerprints on it. So like if they try to run away or something like that, it's like you have that information there. So like, is there something, it's like a friend, like leave a space for your fingerprints.
Leave a space for your fingerprints is funny. Let me think. This one might take a little bit.
So while you're thinking about that, so I've heard before, because I did listen to a True Crime podcast,
That's okay.
in like an If I Go Missing folder that had like a hair sample or like a spit, would that be something that actually benefit like a forensic side, or like obviously you're in toxicology, but like the realm of forensic, would that actually be helpful, or would that be like, we already,
Well, it depends on the crime, because, or not the crime, on the event, I'll say. In terms of an If I Go Missing folder, unless somebody goes to your house and like removes all evidence that you were ever even there, which is not possible because you've lived at your home for quite a while now and you are bound to leave some things behind.
That's true.
It will be very difficult for, at least if you are a known individual who has gone missing, for them to be like, oh, I don't know if this is his hair, in terms of like if they like find it in your house.
Okay.
But trying to think of I'm sure that it is going to be useful in some capacity if they find, like, in terms of comparison, like if you have like a preserved sample, because of course things in your home, if you have samples around, they can also degrade. So in that realm, I believe it might be helpful in terms of having something preserved and preserving it correctly to give it to the right authorities. I think is the word. But in terms of relevance, that also depends, because if they know who you are and they have all your samples already, it's just like, If I Go Missing folder, it's like, well, thank you, but like we already
know you're missing.
We are looking for the person that got you. It depends, I would believe. That's like in terms of like preservation, it would be nice to have like clear samples of everything, because degradation is pretty much a big contender of things going wrong. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Okay, interesting. All right, so what is your one myth or fact that you wished everyone knew?
Myth or fact.
If you're gonna try, tell me anything about forensic sciences so I can tell other people and pretend like I'm smart.
Pretend like you're smart.
I mean, I feel like TV gets it wrong is like the go-to. But
I will say Something interesting, I suppose this is a fact. So when you think about illicit substances, all of the ones that are already there are a couple that your mind already kind of automatically go to.
Absolutely.
And there are several that are held under the 1970s Controlled Substances Act, which essentially lists these different degrees of use for all the drugs, all of the medication, whether or not they can be over the counter, that sort of situation.
Nice.
However, now and again, there are things called novel psychoactive substances, which are NPSs. And what that means is that in order to kind of subvert that legislation and be like, actually, this is a legal drug because you haven't written anything about it, they will take an existing chemical and they will just make slight changes to it so that it is considered legal, but it is still an illicit substance that could cause harm.
Interesting. Interesting. We'll have to talk more about that afterwards because I want to
Yes.
ask some specifics, but I feel like
Absolutely.
that's not appropriate for a podcast.
Take my homework and like change the answers slightly to.
Yes, and it's just like, this
Yeah.
is different homework. Like, what do you mean? Like,
What do you mean?
this is mine.
I used I instead of the.
I changed the little dot on top of the I to a heart, so that means it's not the same.
Interesting.
That's
Okay. I'll put it on my little fact thing. I'll be like, hey guys, when I get to work, hey guys, did you know this fact?
You want to talk about drugs?
This is the only fact I know.
This is the
But
Gosh, that's wild. Well, you kind of talked about it a little bit,
Yeah.
but if forensic science, like, you know, all of this stuff, and it hadn't worked out for you, what do you think you would be studying / doing instead?
yeah.
I think I would have done something in terms of translation wise, because I also have a minor in French, and I love languages and I love learning about different cultures in that sense, because in learning a language you kind of find out a little bit more about that culture. And I think just going along and learning languages and being a translator for the UN would have been so much fun.
That's cool.
Because I was scared out of vet school by my mom. She was just like, what are you going to do when somebody tells you to like operate on like a small animal? And I was just like, well, cry, because I
Sobbing.
I'm fully equipped for people. I'm not fully equipped for animals.
That's me. I feel that in my soul. When
to-
something happened to an animal, I was just like, nope.
Yeah. I will say that there is another aspect of forensic sciences that deals with animals, and instead of autopsies, they're called necropsies. Yeah, it's a little fact for you.
That's not a fun fact. That's an unfun fact.
Okay, but going back,
Yes.
you're like, okay, it's between either being on the UN and like saving the entire planet by working out complicated things while speaking French, or being Sherlock.
Sort of a little bit.
And you were like, Sherlock.
Sherlock, you know.
Two really cool things. That's awesome.
Don't you?
That's really neat.
This is a genuine question, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna be wrong. Do you play the violin?
I play the cello.
Cello. I knew it was
Yeah,
one of them.
so we're like
You're adjacent.
Yes.
Well, Sherlock is a detective. He doesn't do any actual like science work. It's
okay, yeah,
basically
yeah.
all hearsay, but somehow he makes it work. Like he's just like, I think that
entertaining.
all of these connect, and everybody's just like, I guess.
95% of the time, the criminal admits it themselves at that point in time.
That's the goal. You just get them to admit it, because then you
Exactly.
don't have to solve anything. You just go.
You just got them to admit it. So what's the point?
I love that. So you're on
awesome.
the job of trying to figure out like all the information, the facts and things behind it. You actually pull it together.
I
like that.
basically, it's just like, you gave me this evidence. This is all the information I got from it. I can't tell you what actually happened. I could maybe interpret and offer an opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm Sherlock in the way that like he goes and does investigations, but the deducing thing, like that's not.
Okay.
That's
You're not
one of
actually
the
trying to
things.
connect dots. You're just trying to make sure that the dots have all of the information to them.
Yes, the dots have all the information listed. The lawyers can do the dot connecting.
Okay.
Whether or not they are correct is another.
That's another conversation for
entirely.
another episode.
But,
In my own mind canon, I'm still going to always imagine you're going over and doing like the banter and stuff like that. Like you're pulling in information. You're like, oh, this toxin wasn't seen in the U.S. until the 1980s, which means they're this age. And it's like, oh, that's so cool.
That's all.
I will say
You can't tell me anything different, but yes.
something similar. They do that with ink, like forensic ink
Really?
analysis a lot. So when people go and are just like, I got this baseball card signed by Babe Ruth originally, they look at the ink and they're just like, actually, this ink is too new for it to be signed by Babe
Interesting.
Ruth. So that's another fun little interesting
fascinating.
fact.
That's a fun fact. That's a fun fact.
Selecting these, I'm putting them down.
Yes.
So we could talk about this all day
Absolutely.
long.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But
Absolutely.
we can't keep you for the rest of your life. So Andrew, do you have one more question?
Yes. So this is kind of going to be more like bringing it back to the reason we wanted you on here, which is about exploration and discovery and things of that nature. For anyone who is interested in pursuing forensic science, whether specifically toxicology or other aspects, would you point them to any specific like resources, podcast, documentaries, anything that would like, hey, this is the real side of it that you can explore and stuff like that, or what would you recommend in that regard?
Well, in that sense, I will say, even though I disparage true crime a lot, that's how I kind of discovered like my passion and interest for it. I will say don't stay on crime shows because that is certainly not what it's about. But in the sense of like really showing what forensic sciences is about, I would encourage for you to go on Google Scholar, look at articles, look at things that are actually happening, maybe dip into like crime shows a little bit if you just want to like if you want to see if it interests you. But if you want to find out what's actually going on in the field, what goes on in the lab, in a reality perspective, I would recommend going through like actual research articles and textbooks, because that is really the only way that you're going to be able to learn what's going on.
Interesting. So if you don't like chemistry, probably not a good idea to go into forensic toxicology.
Well, if you don't like chemistry but you like biology, then the forensic biology and DNA is for you.
Okay. If you don't like science,
If you don't like science, then I have bad news.
Tell it to him straight.
I have
Let him know.
really bad news for you. You might need another career. But if you like accounting, like maybe, like if you like computer, like if you like computer science, maybe. Essentially, if you go into a major and you're just curious about like, could this be helpful in forensic science?
probably.
Odds are probably.
Okay.
Is there forensic like educations, like education, like teachers?
Well, like in terms of like pedagogy and how to teach
Oh.
You
it.
said a word.
Yeah.
Pedagogy?
Pedagogy.
What does this mean?
It's how you learn. It's
Education.
like the science of how you learn, I think.
Oh, okay.
Because that's like
Yes.
that's one of the big things I'm learning in education is like that. I should know how to pronounce it, but
I am learning
I think
so
it's
much today.
Pedagogy.
That's I have a new word. I have new facts.
Yes, in fact, there is research going out on like how to teach forensics and stuff, but it's usually by people who have
Also
done
were
forensics. Or you could just do it in an academia sort of sentiment and just keep putting out research. So
Cool. Very cool. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. This was awesome. This is exactly what I hoped and yet exceeded my expectations at the same time. This was so cool getting to learn stuff, and I hope that that you listening at home were able to kind of learn something, maybe pique your interest if this was not something you originally thought you'd be interested in listening to. If you stuck around, thank you so much for doing that. I hope you had fun. I had
sure
fun.
they did.
I had fun.
Thank you, Marimar, for coming onto the show and for being like one of our first guests of the semester and getting to launch it.
Yeah,
I'm so appreciative.
So if all that being said, we're going to go ahead and plug our socials. I think it's probably a good call. So if you enjoyed what you saw today, please make sure that you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the places. Make sure that you leave comments, likes, all those fun things. If you liked the episode and you're watching on YouTube, give a like, subscribe, push that little bell icon over the top, because we're going to be doing new episodes every week on Wednesdays, so please make sure that you are keeping tuned for that. If you're watching or listening on Spotify or any other podcasting place, make sure that you add it to your list, give it a review. Those 5-star reviews help help bring people to the podcast, tell people, hey, this is something fun that's interesting to listen to. So just helping review that is awesome and really, really helps us out.
Yeah. So for the last thing,
Yes.
beyond that, usually I pick what they're supposed to comment on the episode. But since we have a wonderful guest here,
Oh my god.
what should our viewers and listeners comment for this episode?
I'm gonna say toxicology. I love toxicology.
So is there a question you want them to answer? Like, let's say something about toxicology. What's your favorite toxic?
toxicology and
Toxicology in the chat, please.
Toxicology in the chat. So just toxicology in the chat,
please.
guys. It's the easiest one you've got so far.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's do
You
it.
made them
No
do
excuse.
research, hard homework.
Yeah, let's do it. Of course.
yeah,
There's pop quizzes at the end of the episode.
we're homeschooled, so everything has
Look up a toxicology case and post it in the chat. Go onto Google Scholar and look up toxicology case.
That's for our AP students.
Yes, AP students.
Of the Sheltered Sages
I
podcast.
expect a paper by the time 2 days after this is published.
2 days. That's all you get.
That's enough time to write a
11:59.
scholarly paper. What are you talking about?
There you go.
Homeschool.
Ouch.
It's like, what else are you doing?
Nothing else. Go
I
ahead.
think I'm gonna need a podcast episode talking about homeschooling and explaining it to me from a science perspective.
Yikes.
That's the season finale.
Perfect.
Okay, that's what
I'm
we're
ready.
going for
I'm
that.
tapped.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here again, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.